Welcome to another episode of DEI-LOGS, a Careernet Prism podcast, where we indulge into meaningful conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion with D&I champions across sectors and industries. And today we have with us Dr. Anita Prasad, the first Indian origin transgender woman in Germany. And she is a force to reckon with. With a diverse portfolio, she has been into software sales, mechanical engineering, she has designed aircrafts, she has 8 patents, she is into DNA, genomics, medicine, and now she's back to her homeland, working towards the upliftment of LGBTQIA plus minority communities. So we will be delving deep into all of her initiatives within this podcast, and we'll be talking about all the efforts that she has been making towards her cause. Welcome, Dr. Anita. It's really great to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be with us. So first thing first, how has your journey been so far? You were in India doing software sales, then you moved on to Germany, and then there has to be a lot of stigma around your identity also. So how did you navigate all of these challenges, and what has been the journey so far, like not professionally? We will delve into that later.
See, firstly, I would like to say is that, I'm born and brought up in Bangalore.
Okay.
I'm proper Malleshwaram citizen, I would say. I was born in Malleshwaram and then brought up in Malleshwaram. I did my graduation, and then I did my PG also, which is MBA in Sales and Marketing.
Okay.
Then I got into software sales initiatives. I was working with a company which, first time in India hosted the online results for the 10th and the 12th and so on.
Okay.
We had plenty of activities happening. Plus we had lots and lots of websites, and the .com bubble, I would say. I was in that kind of a boom. Again, I was in that bubble.
Who wasn't at
Absolutely,
that time?
Absolutely. And then, I moved in, and then the first manuscripts into the digital formats and so on, and the ERP systems, and they were fascinated, projects, I would say. Many things we did it for the first time, including, selling of the cinema tickets online in Bangalore. So it was all amazing. And with me, I had a wonderful personality. I think the world knows him, with the Malgudi days, Master Manjunath, none other than him. So we were a wonderful team, working towards that and making things happen.
So we can say you have closely seen internet evolving from that
Absolutely,
to today,
absolutely.
where we have apps for it.
I was born with, let's say, the medieval
the stone age of internet.
Absolutely. And then we saw that internet coming up and blooming, and many people starting their companies, and many names flourishing in India, and people didn't know computers, and they were asking, hey, you can operate computer, wow, and this is so amazing. And when I was trying to learn my diploma in computers, I was like going to St. Joseph's College, and so many other institutes and institutions. Was pretty confused in what language should I have to learn at that particular point of time. I think that problem prevails even today.
Yeah, now there are way too many options. And
Exactly. So we were like, totally a little bit confused characters where there was no guidance, and we were not sure where the world will lead to. And especially when the Y2K problems came in, and like everybody were like sitting on the top of this, and it was like a cherry on a cake, and then everyone were like jumping, and there was a big billing happening, and we were like, what's happening here? So I've seen that kind of, old time, the IT. Let's say I wouldn't call myself a real veteran, but I was happy, to say that, I've been a part of that journey where we automated many things, and we also brought in the robots, and we have seen lots and lots of automation, and the kind of comfortness that the present generation has, and the generation which is going to upcome in the future. I think it's going to be a very interesting journey that, so far what we have witnessed in this long stint of about almost 28 years.
So at that point, did you ever expect, like, see, we were outsiders, right?
Yeah.
We were taking things as they come. You were involved in the process. So did you forecast that, internet will maybe, grow to this big of a thing where on everyone's hands, like, everything is right there?
I think I had my hotmail.com and yahoo.com accounts long ago, early 90s, I would say. And we used to go to the cyber center and wait for that modem to pick up that connection, and then, queen, all those noises, and then we used to connect to that. So I still remember that, and with 5.25 floppy drives, and
Yes.
carry the data, and it was so amazing, to go back to that old time and the kind of current generation where we are. I think it makes a lot of impact. That I've been really happy to witness that. Yeah.
So, being the first Indian origin transgender woman in Germany, I'm like very intrigued to know how your experience has been there, and how is it in comparison to India? And do you think the cultural context, does play a role into how people perceive the community?
See, with me, it was a little bit a different issue altogether. The medical topics drove me in rather than I declared myself that I want to move into this, or I'm having the pain in me. So that was the basic difference. So when I had a lot of issues coping up with my stomach bloating, high blood pressure, anxiety, panic attacks, and so on, I was frequently admitted to the hospital. So not knowing what's exactly happening within me. And the hospitals were also puzzled that, there's nothing wrong with you and the whole system. Why are you frequenting? And they also tried to, research every bit of my blood in order to make sure that there is nothing wrong. And then all sorts of MRIs and scans were
Trying
done.
to rule out
Exactly. Absolutely. And except my brain, everything was scanned. That's fine. And finally, a doc said, almost like this drama happened almost like a year. And the hospitals and the ambulance staff and the doctors, everyone got to know about me so frequently. They're okay, oh, this guy, Indian, okay, we know them. So they used to treat me for a high blood pressure, put me on anxiety, heavy anxiety pills, and I don't know what not, and even cortisons at some times, and wrong diagnosis. That led to a lot of complications too. Luckily and fortunately, nothing happened to
that
me.
Could have had a long-term adverse effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was very fit since day one, so that kind of
you were tough enough to take it.
Absolutely. So my body was really ready to take all those rubbish which came into me, even though it was not necessary to feed in that kind of drugs in me. But I was fine. And then one fine day, a doctor came and told me that, why don't you consult a psychiatrist? So I went to a psychiatrist, and then this man is very, very experienced and is probably number one in Europe for the psychodrama. And he really realizes, and I saw his biography, and he's almost like 72 or 73 now. And I went to him. I told him these are the issues what I'm encountering, and he sat with a big questionnaire, and he started grilling me so much in depth. We almost required 4 or 5 sessions to figure out what is the basic issue that I'm facing. So then he suggested me to rush to brain scan place, where he actually wanted to see the brain MRI. And once the report came, he was right, and he said, "Look, your brain is non-coherent with your body. That means, the brain is female, the body is male. So this is the issue that he says. He feels that this is not a situation, and this is the reason why you are getting this kind of issues. So this is typically called as gender dysphoria. So when the gender dysphoria happens, in many cases, and this is proven medically. I'm not talking, something which I have to do it. This can attack on the person's organs, and it can kill your heart. It can kill your lungs, liver, kidneys, and anything, everything.
If there is a
Exactly.
imbalance between what the brain is like and what the body is.
Yes. So the non-coherence happens, and the non-coherence is not tolerated. To a certain period of time, it does. And then how much can you suppress? How much can you push your own self? No, I am not that, I am this. That's not possible. So it's nature. And the nature has to come out one fine day, and it will show up, even though we suppress it.
If you are not reading the signs, then eventually it will explode one day.
Exactly. Oppression is not the solution there. And yes, I mean, warmly the medical society welcomed, and they were behind me to support this, and they immediately put me on the hormone replacement therapy. And the kind of drugs they prescribed is also, they started with very, very slow medication, not increasing too much, but they said, this is a very, time-consuming process. And of course, all the regulations and guidelines were very seriously met for this initiative. And, I was a very interesting subject for them too, because this is the first time an Indian citizen in Germany or Europe being diagnosed like this.
Yeah.
So they were very happy to take all my blood, about 6-8 syringes, and it was like a blood donation.
It was a project to them also.
Exactly, it was a blood donation camp almost, sort of. But they were, very cooperative, and they got the appointments even before schedules, because the doctors are running always full, and I was getting the priority. Maybe because I was a foreigner or something, I'm not sure, but I was conversing a very good German, because I lived there for about 23 years, and I'm very, very fluent. Like the mother tongue, I do speak German and a bit of French too. So that puts me on a real, leading edge, I would say, that I can really play around pretty well. And the doctors were also very happy to give that kind of medication and treat me. So I wouldn't say any sort of bad issues happened. But other than that, when you come into the community, try to involve and interact with certain, the NGOs, and that's where you start your journey. You want to know, now you are curious, what is it like? What will be the world looking like? And on the other side, yes, I'll come to the family part of it, the second phase. The first phase is the curiosities and the anxiety which I have, that doubles up at this particular point of time. And then on the other side, you see the career. What's happening to your life? Is that a fish bubble? This is a big confusion.
Makes you question everything.
Exactly, because see, I dreamt, I read something, I built up myself. I studied very well, and I went to California to do my PhD. I went to London to attend the London School of Economics, and I studied everything over there. So this is something, which I wanted to build a different career and be on that kind of a forefront, where I can, try to give that kind of a change to the society. And learning is one part, earning is also another part, and the image and the impression that comes within the society is on the other side. So how do you come and get into these kind of initiatives? That put me in a very, very different, difficult situations in many, many places. But when I went to these kind of a community, and they were like not welcoming me. They were like,
Was that in India, in Germany?
In Germany. They were not welcoming at all. And they were like, okay, and it was a racism straight away. I can feel
so
that.
Like within the minority itself?
Yes, because they didn't wanted this kind of a situation to happen. And if so, then they were like looking and thinking like, where do I put them? Straight away. So, and also like I was too extremely overqualified for those kind of
circles,
crowds in the circle, and I cannot take it, because see, I come from that kind of a business community, and that speed that we have, and I have managed a lot of people. I also fly aircrafts, and I owned aircraft. I had 19 old timers cars, including Rolls Royce and so on. For me, the life was very different, and suddenly when I come into this kind of an environment, and for me, like, okay, this is a no-go.
So
I'm
was there
sorry.
like a kind of a presumption maybe in their head that, if you're privileged enough, you cannot be
No.
trans enough, or what?
No, they were feeling that the doctors are prioritizing me because the appointment with the psychiatrist to get a first appointment takes almost like 8 months to a year. But I got it in 2 days. So they were like very angry on this kind of a situation, and they also were angry that I got that kind of a priority where I got the hormone replacement therapy and a recommendation from psychiatrists that I could go for a treatment immediately, but they did not care for a situation where I was going through this kind of personal anxiety and the blood pressure issues and the non-coherence.
Yeah, they didn't get like what tipping point you had to be for the
Exactly.
doctors to actually suggest that and taking everything on priority.
Exactly.
Right?
Casualty and emergency was
Yes.
mistaken
Yes,
identities. So this is a very important situation where I had to convince those people, but not too many were very happy. So that put me in a very difficult situation, but I didn't wanted to engage with anyone because I could not really converse into the level where I was, because for me, I was always looking at something, but they were like, okay, most of them are blue collars or they're working with Siemens or some organization.
Also, I think you already had too much on your plate.
Exactly.
True.
And Siemens and BMW and other companies, and they're coming and sitting over. And then, I was in Bavaria, right? Bavaria is, it's in Munich, which is the heart of BMW, Audis and Siemens and, the big time manufacturing companies.
That time you were into mechanicals already, right?
Yeah. I was doing consulting, and I automated the Foxconn, the complete IoT on it, and we supported and developed on it. And also I was part of one of my friends' team in terms of the digital twin implementation, the first one with Siemens and Atos coming in place. So I think it's a very interesting journey. Many people know me in a different attire, and also my face, everything was very different then, and now people cannot even recognize when I come and connect to them, and they will ask me, who are you?
So how did your family react to your coming out? And
family was shocked. First of all, when I came back, and then I kept this information to my own self for about at least 2 to 3 days before I even opened up with my spouse. And she was like shocked, and she said, no, this is not set and done, and you cannot do this. I said, look, this is a hard-pressed issue and situation, so please do understand this, and this is a gender dysphoria. But for them, this is a no-go. And they have seen, the biggest issue is the transphobia that comes probably in various different levels, which we will know a little bit more when we deep dive into further questions. But the transphobia is something which is very dangerous, and the other one is the people who live in a very low profile jobs, and also the level that the society sees and notifies the trans community or the LGBT community is pretty bad at the moment. So this is a very important subject even for me to look at, and they were very scared. So the possibility is the insecurity that comes in the futuristic life. So they were until now secure. Now you are moving into insecurity.
Yes. And this is like uncharted waters for them.
Yes, and you are inviting problems to your own life. So one should be ready to accommodate your own self into it. And other side, okay, we have been living abroad. This is also another mentality. Now I'm very secure. I feel, okay, all the necessities are fulfilled. And I have been into this kind of, let's say the Maslow's hierarchical triangle that we can draw and say that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are all met for me. And why should I even think about going back to this kind of a issue, struggle, and why should I even convince somebody that there is something like this, and what happens to my image publicly? And there are a lot of old time Indians, and we had very good connects over there, but not too many of them. and they were worried, and everybody were like, very happy to connect to us, come into our home, dine, and we had a huge mansion, huge, massive, about 18-bedroom house, and it's you can imagine this is only shown in Bollywood or something. That's the kind of life we were running with. But they were, all of these people were like, shocked also when it came into that kind of an angle, and I had to lock myself for 6 weeks, not coming out, just for food and bath. I came out of my room, but I was actually planning: how do I take this up? There were anxiety issues. That means that how do my new life look like, and how should I face the society? What should I do? How should I shape it up? And should I have to continue with my old activities or not? If so, then how do I collaborate or merge two different things, also in terms of business perspective, not just going and jumping into the river, not knowing the depth of it or whatever. But this is a very important subject that one has to understand and reckon with. So this is what I have been trying to spend a lot of time on this, and try to convince. And then once I decided and accepted my own self. See, the most important is in any journey, your self-acceptance plays a very important role. And once you have the self-acceptance and the 360 degrees, you are covered your own self, and you have a motivation. That means, you see a carrot and you want to run towards that carrot to catch whole of your life. Until you have a motivation, you cannot do anything.
Of course.
So this is what the first steps that I
would
need to
have
work
taken
with.
you a while, I guess, to
Pretty much
find that motivation also, because the entire identity shifts.
Yes, depression, all sorts of issues. I have seen everything end to end. I've tried to overcome with it. I tried to work with it. I listened to a lot of topics. Not like the earlier days. We don't have that kind of a substance.
Did you get to hear the classic from people that since you already have everything in your life, now you are just trying to create unnecessary issues?
Absolutely. Many people came and said now that they said that you want to run away from your life, or you want to throw your family out or something like this. No, that's not the intention.
Because we hear this a lot being said about people who are struggling with these issues.
Exactly.
That if only you had to worry about
Exactly.
basic things, you won't be thinking about all of this. This
So
is a rich people problem.
If this is a drama that happens, this is not a drama, I would have to say. This is your nature. If you do not admire and accept your nature, you can as well, let the nature play on you. That will play bad on you. Definitely, that's the fate of it. Or you can let that come in and embrace you, and once you touch your own self and get into that kind of a next phase where you can blossom on so many topics. If you don't, then you have a different part of a life. So I would say that one has to understand and have that kind of a motivation, which is very important to run this. The rest, people are talking always. People will talk good, bad, whatever, that's fine. That's the society is all about. I think we know it better now. But I think it's very important that one has to go on a right side, right path, and continue this kind of a journey. And see, of course, family was not happy. My spouse told me that you should walk out of the home. I wasn't ready. And then she bought the neighbors. She did all sorts of things. She tore my clothes. She you can imagine what not, and she even abused me physically too. So it's fine. I mean, it was not a.
But that's all behind you now, I guess.
Yeah, and hopefully. I had to forgive and forget everything, because unless until you do this, it won't be.
You have to find your own peace, basically.
Yeah,
you cannot
the trauma has to be left and thrown out. And the motivations will have to take you over. If you are living in your trauma, which doesn't give you any sort of further progress. So you need to be very, very well equipped your own self, and your self-acceptance and that kind of motivation can only drive you further. And I may carry any kind of stress, and why should I throw this trauma on the society? This is very simple. And I want to see that the motivation is very important, and the key is to bring that kind of change and the success in the market. not to carry the bad negativities, and that happened.
Yeah.
And that happened. It's in history
Done
now.
and dusted.
I can write it in my autobiography and throw it away,
Yeah.
and that's good for garbage. But it's not good for me to carry and tell it to the whole world that yes, this is my life and this war the
So
problems.
you don't believe in,
No.
victimizing yourself like that?
No, I'll
It's
never
not going to be
believe
all
that.
about that.
No, I never believe that, and I want to keep these things going forward and staying alive, give my full energy out when I have blossomed somewhere, and I need to make sure that that kind of fragrance reaches everyone, and I should be able to bring that kind of change in the society, what I'm aiming for, or the society is definitely handicapped at this particular point of time, that let's say in German we call it as Eiselsbrücke, that means a monkey bridge has to be built between the minority communities and the
mainstream.
the mainstream. Exactly. So this is a very important perspective that you need to work it out with.
Coming to that part,
Yeah.
so you have an initiative called We India. So what's it all about, and how do you plan to better the LGBTQIA plus lives in
Exactly.
India through your initiatives?
Yeah. See, We India Humanitarian Foundation. So this is what we have been trying to get it on the speed. So in this, we are trying to connect to the LGBT community and vis-a-vis in other places too. And the most important subject is I got thrown out of the house. I got thrown out of many connects. And why is this happening? Very important is that the education with the people or the awareness is missing. And for this reason, it's a very important subject that we bring this forward and we put these people in the front face so that, that kind of information is reached out to the public. That's one. Number two is also to bring up the LGBT talent via this, including fashion shows and many other topics, which we are working it out, including travel also, that we will be working towards that and making these things come up to the real life and making the change in a very drastic way in the society. I'm sorry, I can't go much more in depth because too many people, too many cooks spoil the food. So we will have to look at this in the coming days, how we flourish this and try to work towards it. But main aim is to bring the equality, and this is where I'm looking at. Not just you embrace these people by giving them the jobs, and putting them in some different locations because they are dissatisfied. I need to work with those people who require that kind of a help. This is a very important topic in the DEI because you're just giving them a job. You're putting them in some place.
Yeah. So right now the entire focus generally is that, they are ostracized. So let's just give them a job.
Exactly.
Which is not the case with general people, right?
Yeah.
You look at their skills, you look at their talents, you see where they will be happy, you see where they will be appreciated.
Yes.
So that is the kind of, I think, the setup that you want for them also. Because
see, that is very important. Second thing is, these people are totally confused. They're coming with a big trauma. They're not properly guided. In India, we don't have the psychiatrist or the mechanism, and everything works on the money perspective here. And there are so much of disappointments. You walk out right from the day one, when you start your day, you are in a negativity mode. Whoever I speak to, they just come and bounce on me. This is not a very good scenario. This doesn't happen in India. It happens everywhere. I've traveled globally. I've set up my business globally. I know what is what. But, it's very important to understand these people, try to work with those people. That's one part of the angle. The second part is, yes, you're talking about D&I, you're giving them the environment, you're giving them the culture. Not only these, this doesn't, money is a motivation. I totally understand. Profit for a business is a motivation. That's also great. But these two, what I'm talking in D&I, the profit and the money for an employee.
That is actually a very, a topic that we often speak about.
Exactly.
That should D&I be looked at from a perspective of, profit, or is it like something, that has to be, it definitely shouldn't be looked at from, but alas that the corporate landscape of India is right now like that.
A healthy character To me, a healthy character is someone you can take and be productive. That gives you a profitability automatically. You don't have to look through your problems. If you are trying to sit and address someone's problem, this is not going to be a profit venture. Simple.
Of course.
So you need to work towards that particular topic. And I think this is an urge that I have, that everyone has to look for getting these people right in that kind of a sphere where they don't continue and bring the trauma into the office.
That's
This is a work environment.
That's what we aim to do at Prism also.
Yeah.
Like we also get we work with LGBTQIA plus candidates, women returnees and other diversities. So while getting them placed in an organization, like the topmost priority is always to make sure that they are, they don't feel any discomfort over there, or we have to sensitize the corporates as well. We have to make sure that the transition process is very smooth from, one job to another. And they're made to feel welcome over there and not just, that, it's a D&I hiring. We have to just fill a spot.
Yes.
So yeah, these are the challenges that we are, I think in the Indian society, we are still navigating, even in corporate.
So these are the topics, when I sat at 6 weeks at home, I tried to do a lot of research and I tried to find out all those gaps across the world where we can play a very important role to bridge this and bring this kind of a collaboration with the society. And how do we become productive society rather than, holding this and trying to merely document, write books and keep on writing books after books, and only the writers are being able to sell the books, but we are not able to make that kind of a change. And when do I get to see the change? And there is also a big gap between the D&I and the LGBTQI community. How do these two people work together? This is a very important subject.
Find a rhythm, a common ground.
Exactly. So this is a very important subject, and that is where
if we are supposed to help, if we want to help, we also need to know what kind of a help we are going to provide. Talk to the person themselves, right?
Yes.
So
this is the topic I'm talking all about.
So apart from this, you are also, I just got to know that you are also into transgender medicine. So what new researches are being done, into DNA and genomics you have mentioned?
Yeah, see, when it comes to transgender medication...
what inspired you to get into it? Because you were into sales, then you were into mechanical engineering, you did a lot of stuff, and then how did that interest...
See, when I went through the German system and the European system, as I understand, I've been on many podcasts and discussions, and also on the stage for many presentations and also discussion forums. And it's very important for us to bring this kind of a very important highlight in India, especially because I saw that there's a huge gap, because the issue is the doctors here, they are not interested in terms of putting their name as a doctor who's treating the transgender patients. Simple as that. They want to keep it silent. They want to do everything at the backyard, not openly.
So the stigma is up to that point where the doctors don't like to associate with...
Yes, this is very clearly, it's happening in India. And I'm not trying to hide this. Second topic is, I've been known in the LinkedIn community for openly speaking. I don't hide anything. This is very important. And, many people also don't like, because I speak very frankly, very openly, and I only speak on the content which I write, I experience, I know about it, right? And when I think about it, I think what kind of a change do we bring in the table? That's a very important subject, and in terms of the business angle too. And we need to look at, in terms of the transgender and the intersex medications, we don't have a proper system in place. Yes, the WHO has prescribed, United Nations have prescribed, everyone have prescribed, and unfortunately, into many places, it remains as a prescription only, but the doctors work completely independent. They are completely delegated on certain tasks. They work on some other intentions and interests. So first of all, this whole thing has to be sutured if we are looking at it. And the second topic is, there is no who's who database in India. There is no information in terms of who's this particular transgender, who is this particular intersex, what sort of family history or the DNA or anything is available. It doesn't have anything. And the DNA labs also have never done any sort of research further whereas the other Western society is doing a lot of research, and the genomics are pretty well known. Whereas in our Indian community, we only have in India just 3 DNA centers. Just 3 DNA centers
So,
across India. It's a shame for
you're
us.
saying they are not even making any
Yes.
strides in the direction.
Yes.
This is not the priority at all
No.
here.
So it's very important, even for example, cancer research or any topic, just 3 DNA centers, government funded, not
And
privately
what about
held.
privately? Is there
No.
things happening?
So people are completely working on different directions, and therefore I made a collaboration with one of the DNA center, and I openly said that with the private and the government collaboration, we are going to work together. And it took a lot of effort for me. Trust me, since the day I landed in India, it's now like almost 6 months. I've been working very rigorously to put all these people in one plate. So this will be a success story, and we have identified a wonderful topic, and we are putting across a research institute here, a hospital, and the research institute, and the doctors, and many scientists who will first ever do this Chandrayaan 4, I would say, sort of a news, where we are very much interested in terms of bringing that kind of a first ever impact in India, to bring this forward and put it across to the world, saying that we are also here, and we want to take these things further. And to my dream, I have also collaborated with a telemedicine company, where these research on the tests, whatever we are trying to do, they are available everywhere across India. So one of the Bangalore-based company, I'm trying to collaborate with them, trying to work towards it, and see how we are able to make it available with all these transgender medicines, medications, laboratory research facilities, and the genomics, and the DNA samples, finding out that family tree, and many more research which the world requires. I think the genes are mutating. It's like your viruses.
Okay.
This has to be known very well, because if you look at my family tree, we don't have that kind of history. The first ever, which is
So you need to collect
is-
like a lot of data basically.
Exactly.
First, just to,
So
exactly.
we really need that. India needs it, because at this kind of a juncture, we need to make this kind of a
you
progress.
cannot basically understand something if you don't have enough data.
No.
From like how it's originated.
See, data is the key. Data will be the key in the future too. So for this, we are working towards it, because I come from the mechanical software background, and for me, data is very important. We will work towards it. We'll try to make it happen, and we want to collect everything, and we want to collaborate with many organizations to work on this. It's not one man's job, and we are pretty interested in terms of working further on this. That's the short background.
Since we just talked about data and its importance, and you come from a very heavy data-oriented background, do you think that we need a more significant approach towards leveraging technology in order to quantify the, inclusion efforts in organization?
See, AI is picking up. AI is in place now. And we need a lot of technologies as well, like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, and many more developments, so that kind of an inclusive space becomes much more clearer to everybody. So this is actually missing, and people don't want to invest on it. That's the other worst part of it. And we need to look at it, how do we make these things available to everyone? And that's a challenge which I have taken it personally, and also trying to work with some doctors and psychiatrists who are specialized in this, because NIMHANS, it's an alarming statement. NIMHANS do not have a transgender research center.
Like that is very shocking, because it's like one of the most esteemed organizations.
Yes. So I'm not blaming on us, but I'm trying to alarm the society that we need to build a proper infrastructure and be ready for the future. Because if we see the kind of ratio of population, the number of people getting affected and getting converted or coming out, I would say typically this is the word which we use, coming out, is increasing every day. So the anticipated is almost like 14% of Indian population, which is large, and the LGBT community itself, and the bisexual ratio. I don't know, some survey which took place, and that was really alarming. By looking at the bisexual numbers. But I don't want to say that because it may not be so authenticated information. But I think sooner or later we have to make real research, and research is very essential to come into this and try to see how we can better our society. We are talking about becoming number 3 in GDP, number 2 in GDP, or probably 1 in GDP. If so, then do we have the kind of required systems in place? At the backyard, who is working? Everybody wants to be a scientist. Everybody wants to go out of the country. You say that you don't have the system available. If so, then your own country is forgotten, and your own land is left behind in terms of what and where are we heading for? So this is the question we need to answer.
So, like when talking to corporates, let's say, how do you make them, like how do you pitch the idea to them in a very layman's view, like, in a language that they understand better, that, how do you quantify inclusion? How do you tell them that, this particular way you can understand how diverse or inclusive your organization is?
I know our India is, at least this population where we are, this generation, I would say, we are pretty much towards the white people. When they come and speak, we have more receptors switched on. And when our own people, when we come on and then, try to speak, it's not that kind of receptive skills.
Yes.
So this is very unfortunate situation because it's been there. And we have been listening to the white people for centuries now. So for this reason, I have collaborated with some of the universities, and I'm starting a fellowship program called I-Light. And this I-Light is supposed to spread humanity, peace, and inclusivity for the LGBTQIA community. And we have designed specially some fellowship topics. So wonderful universities are there on this, which I cannot share at the moment. And the logo is yet to be launched. And we want to bring this kind of online for free education for everybody across India and the worldwide to make this a success story, so that everyone are aligned to certain bit of standards, and they are getting the certificates to post it on their LinkedIn or wherever it is, that they should be happy with. And then in the meantime, we are also looking forward to bring that kind of education where we are aligning that gap in a bigger fashion. So that's the way I'm talking about.
So one of your other initiatives, W Anita, and that Ride Across India initiative. So that sounds very interesting. Can you tell us, a bit about that?
See, I bought in the German companies and European Union organization, the European Commission for India, and the people, this happened a decade ago, I would say. India was different then. So the Europeans were thrilled to ask, where is the hands-on skills? The hands are missing here. So that happens, unfortunately. Even today, I see that kind of a big difference. The hands are still missing. The skills are in a very high profile jobs. Unfortunately, that kind of ladder, what they expect is also very different. So this is very important that we nurture the talent and build that kind of a skill base, where I personally work towards ensuring that is being done. Into that, wherever that is in a free time, I'm trying to spend a bit more energy on the skill building in India with the young people. And I also say that W Anita is nothing but World of Anita, where the world comes to me rather than me, I'm going to the people.
That's
because,
interesting take.
Yeah, so because I don't want to, present into that kind of a sphere. And the other one is the drive, when you mention, it's basically, I need to spread the awareness across India. It's very important, everybody, they don't understand who is who. It's very important for me to spread that kind of information. and bring that kind of awareness. So I'll be meeting the entire Indian young talent across India. That means the colleges, universities.
I mean, that's the best way to create awareness.
Exactly.
Like, you got to meet them, you got to talk to them. There has to be an exchange of ideas.
Yes. So I'm trying to do this across India. I'm taking a drive. I'm going to drive this solo.
You're doing a car life kind of a thing?
Yes,
Okay.
a sort of it. So probably Mahindra or Suzuki would love to collaborate. I'm not sure. I'm in discussions, yet to be figured out, because these are showrooms. I'm not in touch with the direct, let's say the manufacturers, I would say. But yes, let's see who's going to come out and be on this to provide the vehicle. But I would be doing, including Ladakh region and many other places. So covering across India about 12,000 kilometers, covering major cities and meeting with all the politicians and as well as, or at least the influencers, I would say, not the politicians. And then also the DE&I, if they're open, will be happy to visit their company too. And then also with the universities, colleges, I'm interested in terms of the young talent, where we can extend the information to them and bring them to the speed and request them to enroll for the fellowship program, the highlight, and then also move on further to create that kind of an impact, because you are engaging and you are putting the DA force to work on the real-time India, where there is some, where is the information?
Yes.
You still have the same problems. You record the same problem next year. You record the same problem next year. So there's no improvement.
There is no growth.
So for you, if we have to help you, I'm there on the ground. I'm working towards it, and I want to ensure that at least this knowledge spread is happening to all the people. Let's see how far this will be a big time help even from the DEI community to make this a success. And I'm very interested in collaborating also with them.
Our best wishes to you for that.
Thank you so much.
And we will also be looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So now we are going to do a rapid fire kind of a thing. We'll
sure.
just be shooting questions and you're going to answer that. So on the go now.
Yeah.
So are you a reader or listener?
I am a reader.
Okay. Who's your favorite author?
Favorite author, I would say, used to be J. Krishnamurti, a philosopher. Okay. And that put me in a very different, let's say today what I could shape up myself is basically because of this lovely philosopher, I would say.
Beach vacation or a mountain retreat?
I would say both.
Because you're going to do everything now.
Absolutely.
The first thing you do in the morning?
First thing is I read.
You read first thing in the morning?
Yes.
What's your go-to response when someone says, D&I isn't my responsibility?
Isn't my responsibility?
Yeah, it's not. So when someone says, D&I isn't my responsibility.
It happens, I think, because they don't know what it is. So I would like to handhold such a character or see to it that, we reach the right people.
Okay, so what's the most unusual talent you have? You are multi-talented. You have got like a whole array of things. So what's the most unusual talent that you have?
Unusual talent is, I don't know, I mean...
it could be a fun thing. Like not...
Yeah, I mean, I drive crazy at times.
Okay.
That is something which I can say that it's pretty unusual to my age, at least. But yes, that makes me feel younger.
Okay. If you could invent a holiday, what would it be and how would we celebrate it?
A holiday is something which has to give you that kind of recreation.
Yes.
And that kind of peace that what you are looking for. You are in hustle bustle and you are going into that kind of an environment where you're looking for happiness. And if that could create your, private space, and that is what I would love to celebrate.
Okay. If your life was a movie, what would its title be?
Anita.
Nice.
Because that is the name which I, came out with. I was not named by my parents. That is a name which I adopted. It's a global name. I would love to use this because my life is global.
Nice. Last one. What's your favorite diversity-related quote or mantra?
Practice for the humanity. That's it.
That's it.
I think that's the better part
Sums
of it.
it up.
Yeah,
kind of.
and I would love to work with these people, at least for the time being. It's humanity. Later, you can explore what it could be. So,
It was really great to have you here. Thanks a lot. You actually gave me a lot of new perspectives over this as well. I'm really grateful to have you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. We hope you liked this episode with Dr. Anita Prasad, and we will be back with another episode with another D&I champion. Till then, stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon. And do follow us on Careernet Prism social media.